So I asked ChatGPT if Stucant is a fun conference before I came up here, and it said it depends. It depends what your personal preferences are, what you're looking for, where you teach, what you're interested in seeing. So hopefully I will entertain you all, and it will be fun today as we wrap up Friday. And ChatGPT. It didn't mention anything about the bus situation for those who went to. I heard that wasn't fun. So today I'm just going to keep it fun and entertaining because we're on Friday. So my background is all entertainment industry, really. I always wanted to teach, so I've been very grateful for my teaching, which initiated, probably about 3 years and some change right now. So I'm definitely a newbie to teaching, and I'm grateful for all the great presentations I heard and have really gotten so many great tricks. But a lot of what I've been trying to do, and I'm going to talk about today, is figure out how to engage my students with all of the different things that I've learned about engaging audiences in some of these jobs. So I started working in TV and film for Jerry Bruckheimer. If you know who Jerry is, he produces Top Gun, Pirates of the Caribbean, a lot of TV procedurals like CSI and The Amazing Race. So my job with Jerry, this is actually me here. This was us in Kentucky at his ranch. This is Jerry. My job was really to be a digital lead and help him understand how to engage audiences, build his own audience, have a social media presence that he didn't have yet. And he was a very private guy, so it was hard. And he had these amazing photos, like a silhouette of Johnny Depp on the beach, when they were filming Pirates. He's like, would this be good on Twitter? I'm like, yes, that'd be great on Twitter. So it was a really, really cool job. And I just learned so much about how to activate an audience. And then I moved to Live Nation, where I also worked in Boston for a little while. And really fun job, very hard job to, not have a lot of haters on social media because it's hard to get tickets. People get mad when an on sale happens, they can't get tickets. So there was some great conversation in the sessions here about how do we manage, customers in crisis situations. But these were all photos I took in different times. We had just some incredible artists who came and activated a lot of different programs for us. This picture of Ozzy Osbourne and Sharon, we did a campaign with Google. We built a Ticketmaster action for Google Voice, Google Home, so you can say, hey, Ticketmaster. And then the idea was we recorded a number of audio liners, which I wrote, which I was like, I never thought I'd be writing audio liners for Ozzy Osbourne for Ticketmaster action. But so at the time, and then we sent them all to radio stations. So the disc jockeys could play with them and say, hey, Ticketmaster, I'm interested in buying tickets for a concert. And then it would be Ozzy's voice saying, I think you're looking for the Prince of Darkness, and I think you want to buy tickets to my show. And he would tell all these really funny jokes, and it worked really well. And we were able to get a lot of PR traction around the tour. So lots of fun, really opportunities to work directly with platforms and innovate on new products, which sometimes was clunky, but it was a really, really fun job. I was there for about 11 years. And then now I teach PR, advertising, a lot of social media, digital marketing, and consumer behavior classes. So in a little bit, I'm going to show a video, a collage of videos I put together on some of these edutainment content pieces that I use in the classroom that I think are really helpful. And hopefully it'll spur some thoughts or discussion around some different content that you all use in the classroom. Full-time, I also work for this organization called Singleton, and these are the 4 big initiatives. I won't go through them in detail. I've primarily focused on Million Stories, which we create short-form content. It's around 4 to 7 minutes usually, and it's very impact-oriented, so we try to teach you something related to entrepreneurship, financial literacy, for Gen Z and millennials predominantly. And then we do a lot of impact studies and measurement to say, did they actually learn something? Is there going to be a behavior change? How did this have something meaningful result for them? And that's why I'm so passionate about this topic, because at teaching, I want to share really great, fun content with the students and have it actually, be meaningful and help them achieve things. Because this is what I remember. I went to Boston University, which was a great experience. But we actually had some of our lectures in an old movie theater. and it just looked like this. There was never really a video. It was an hour and a half of just lecture, and some of the students were falling asleep, and it wasn't really, always what I dreamed a classroom to be. So, sometimes I use a meme to get the students excited. This was the one I found the other day about what Idaho is like and what it's really like. And, just what can we do to not have this happening, and, how can we really figure out what the students want and what they specifically are most interested in, even in the industry and vertical. I always try to find out. And, Marketing 101, what is our audience? How do we do research to figure that out? So I actually asked the students prior to coming here to say, what do you guys want more of? What type of content do you like? What do you not like learning in the classroom? And I took this survey. It's about 60 students. And as you can see, 76% want more engaging videos related to the chapter and for discussions. 70% do like news articles, which I often find news articles that are also like content. It could be a news article that's on TikTok, a news video related to something that happened. Hearing from speakers, 70%. I'll talk about that in a couple minutes as well. Some of the great speakers I've had. And then these other things that are a little bit more, they're required in many ways, but they're not just as exciting to the students. So I really try to figure out ways to do these top three. How long should the videos be if we're doing videos? The majority of students want 1 to 5 minutes, 62%. 5 to 10 minutes, about 43%. And then 10 to 20 minutes. I was actually surprised that 31% said that they were interested in that length. But I think of TED Talks, and some of those are just fantastic, and they're long, they're a lot longer. So anyway, so the students want it. How do we build some edutainment into our plans, especially knowing that it's hard to find some of this content? What is edutainment? I'm sure most of us all know, but it can include games, TV shows, films, social media content, but really some sort of activity or program that has learning orientation to it, but is also entertaining. And this was interesting. I saw the most amazing analysis and data in some of these presentations here. Mine only has a couple slides of that, so I'm mostly just going to try to entertain you. But you can see here that the ability to recall after 3 hours, 80%, 3 days, 65% for visual content, illustrated lectures. I just thought that was really interesting, and this is where I feel that edutainment fits in. Participatory role plays, case studies, practice, 90%, 70% after 3 days. So some of these things I'm going to talk about how I used engaging video and then really try to tie it to participatory and group work that they're going to retain, hopefully. And this was kind of supported, most of what the students said. You can see that the median engagement time for videos less than 6 minutes long was close to 100%. That is, students tend to watch the whole video. So most of the content that we create at Million Stories, where I work, we produce a lot of documentaries and startup founder stories, and then also more like real educational videos that here are the 4 ways you can tackle your student loan debt. We always try to measure retention very, very deeply. We do a lot of advertising on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and we're always obsessed with the number of how close are we getting to 100%? And most of them are around that 4 to 6 minute range, and then we start to see it really taper off. Unless it's an outlier, like a TED Talk or something that has a little bit more life to it, and students are gonna stick with it. So what makes a good video or a game? Staying concise, right? Finding material that feels right for these students in this class. I think I heard that in some other lectures. I just think it's really important. I have some students that when I ask them, I realize, wow, 40% of this class is actually interested in going and working in fashion. So maybe I should find videos related to fashion marketing and build assignments, that are very custom. And that's really worked well for some of this content that I'm talking about today. Interactivity. I'm not talking as much about games, but there are some really great games out there and simulations like we're all talking about, and some of the great products Stukin has. But how can you really interact and have that using video and using different content that I'm going to show some examples of. Engaging subjects, of course, if it's not an engaging subject, it's not really going to be the most effective use to supplement your teaching. I have been lucky to find a lot of really great speakers, and I'm going to talk about some of them and how I activated students around that speaker. But I always try to find a way to find an engaging subject that's also posing a real question. Should we be afraid of ChatGPT? What does it mean for a business? And then, having the student really think, okay, maybe I don't need to be afraid of it. And I see now how it could be useful for a business in tying it to an assignment, right? A meaningful assignment that works for that class. So these are just some things that have worked well with me. And, the global edutainment market, this is going through 2029, just 5.8 billion. So there's a lot of content out there. There's a lot more coming. How do we think about it? How do we find it? And I would love to hear from some of you if you have any great sources of where you're finding your content. This is just so you don't fall asleep. This is my dog. This took about 150 attempts before I got this photo, by the way. And his name is Ozzy because I actually found him while I was at Ozzy Osbourne's house filming that thing that I showed you earlier. And he's kind of acts like Ozzy a little bit. Hit that cool button on the bottom there. I wouldn't have known that if I didn't see your great presentation earlier. So Million Stories is the channel that I work for, and these are just an example of some of the shows that we create. I don't know where that just disappeared to. But I'll just speak to it. So we have 5 different shows on this example here. They're all about 5 or 6 minutes an episode. One of them, for example, is George Goes Everywhere. It's this guy, George. He travels across the country and spends less than $100 in each city. So it's how can you travel on a budget? How can you do fun things? That's probably the most entertaining show. And then we have a show coming out called B-School that actually talks about some very specific business principles and marketing principles. And I'm going to show you guys a clip in a minute that kind of summarizes some of these really bite-sized, meaningful learning that I've used in the classroom and has really resounded well with the students. They say, one of the best things was those videos that you pulled up from B-School and the ones I'm going to show you in a second. The other thing I'll say, because it's on the next slide, we have a game called Venture Valley at the company I'm at, and that's basically a game for higher ed, but also we do a lot of competitions at different high schools where students can go in and basically compete with each other and build a business and then see, how the budgets line up and where there are actual business principles that they're learning, but they're also having a lot of fun with the gameplay. You can either play somebody else or you can play alone. So that game has been really great for us. We did a deal with Discovery Education and some other big institutions on that. And one other thing I'll mention just about some of the other work that we do, we have some tools that we use that we've been building to help students create an idea. One of them is called Slingshot. So you actually put an idea in, you can generate or even build an idea. I've noticed there's this problem that I'm seeing, and you can really start to build an idea and a business plan and actually have an outcome within a very brief period of time. So we've been working with MIT and some other schools on doing some beta tests with that, and it's been really meaningful for some of those business school students. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else that's really what Million Stories in the day-to-day is for the videos that I've been working on. I'm really excited to show you in a minute what this compilation of videos that I have together, because I think there's some interesting stuff in there for marketing, for neuromarketing. We have a video that actually studied brain scans of people when they were seeing the Apple logo versus the Samsung logo. So he's going to talk about that in a second. And we have some other good content I find for my just marketing principles classes and And then I'm going to show a couple other examples of speakers. And I think we're almost reopened. Oh, I had one. I like to bring props to class, so this was given to me by somebody special. It says, the world's goodest teacher. So almost getting there. I hope that it will be greatest, down the line. And then this was just a good book I've enjoyed reading on the plane, Teaching College, Norman Ang, just lots of, has anybody read this one or seen this one? Yeah, did you like it? Yeah, I thought there were some really good tips in there. Great, thank you. So I talked about that. If it's a problem with the clicker, I'll just come down there and click it along. Cool, we talked about this a little bit. Oh, I think it's working now. Yeah, excellent. So before we watch the video, I was just going to take through a quick slideshow of a few of the videos that were my student favorites. So a lot of, I think we've all probably seen the crazy ones, just a super inspiring video of Steve Jobs, right? This was the 7 different ways to use ChatGPT for your business. So, a lot of the textbooks I use are pretty outdated and not including that, of course. So, I try to have the students learn really recent things through video. Jack Ma on failure, believe in your dreams. I love this case study because students really like seeing how businesses that they like and they, think could never fail actually failed. So I really like that video a lot. It's probably like seven minutes or so. TED Talks, again, I just have found that a lot of students like TED Talks. They like to write about it, talk about how it's tying to the course and what they're learning. I interviewed at Google, and I just thought, there's some really great content out there that's next level about interviewing. And even if you're not interviewing at Google, these are so specific. It's you should have an answer ready for motivational, behavioral, and product-related questions wherever you're interviewing. And if you can do what they're saying in this video, and this person actually got a job at Google, then you'll probably ace your interview other places, right? So I just find some of these videos the students really like. And video animations, I like to ask students, what was the first social media platform? And most of them, they love guessing on that, and we have a huge competition on who it is. But a lot of them don't even know really what the first few were. They don't know about 6 degrees, and they don't know about a lot of these ones. So I like using video infographics after talking about that, and these are just really fun and a minute and a half and summarize really great data. And then the last thing is just live and on-demand webinars. I think webinars can be really great for students to participate for free and learn really custom stuff. So let's check out this video. It's a mix of different videos compiled together, and it's about 5 minutes. So take out your popcorn and hope you enjoy.
There's a couple different styles of positioning. One, you can position something in the market as a benefit, and you're new. Another, you can reposition the rest of the market as being outdated. So Schlitz beer is a great example of repositioning the market. So back in the early 1900s, they used to deliver beer in bottles. So if you're Schlitz beer, how do you win amongst a not super differentiated market? They looked at this and said, what's a way we can reposition everyone else to make ourselves more attractive? And they came up with this whole campaign where their position was, Schlitz beer, we steam clean our bottles. Then you're looking at any other beer and you're like, gross. I bet they don't steam clean those. Now, the funny thing about this was everyone steam cleaned their bottles. So they figured out how to reposition the entire market with something they already did. This increased Schlitz beer sales by a lot.
That makes sense for Schlitz, but how do I apply this to my business idea?
So when you're thinking about the positioning of your product, step 1 is to list out the features, benefits, and what consumers are going to be using it. Step 2 is going to be how you narrow it down to the single position. And step 3 is to find the right way to get that in front of people.
So the opportunity framework is a way to think about, am I looking at a really strong business model or not? The framework encourages you to think in 4 different quadrants: the opportunity, the customer, the competition, and the strategy. You're thinking through, in the opportunity side, is this a large market? How much could I charge for this? How much does it cost to produce? How much does it take to acquire customers? And then on the customer end, you're thinking about, how intense of a need is there here? Do customers really, really want and need this competitively? Is there a lot of competition? What do the barriers to entry look like? And then strategy. What kind of people do you need on the bus to build this type of company? What level of upfront investment is going to be required? What are the key success factors of the company? So if you had to do 3 things exceptionally well, and are you the entrepreneur to deliver on that?
How is this possible that a rational consumer would be willing to pay more for exactly the same thing? We love to think about ourselves as rational. That's not how it works. A very famous study done by colleagues at Duke University had flashed either the Apple logo or the IBM logo to 2 randomized groups of participants.
The study found that after being subliminally exposed to the Apple logo, compared to when you've been exposed to the IBM logo, participants performed better on creative tasks.
And the argument is that Apple has been telling you this story over and over again, that Apple is the brand for hip, cool, fun, creative people.
This is the true power of brands. They can influence our behavior in ways that extend way beyond the point of sale. So, to what degree can the influence of brands wreak havoc on our ability to make rational spending decisions? This is Your Brain on Money. Michael Platt is a professor of neuroscience, marketing, and psychology whose research demonstrates how our perception of brands influences our decisions.
There's an idea in marketing, which is that we relate to brands in the same way we relate to people. It's like, I love this brand, or I hate this brand. Of course, what people say, right, can often be different from what's really going on in their heads. So we thought, well, why don't we just ask the brain directly?
Michael and his team observed the brains of iPhone users and Samsung Galaxy users with an MRI machine, while they heard good, bad, and neutral news about Apple and Samsung.
Apple customers showed a brain empathy response toward Apple that was exactly what you'd see in the way you would respond to somebody in your own family.
Strangely, Samsung users didn't have any positive or negative responses when good or bad news was released about their brand. The only evidence that Samsung users showed was reverse empathy for Apple news, meaning if the Apple headline was negative, their brain reflected a positive response.
You know, it really shows us that Apple has completely defined the market here. Samsung customers, it seems from their brain data, are only buying Samsung because they hate Apple.
The kicker? The Samsung users didn't report feeling the results their MRIs showed. What was happening in their brains and what they reported feeling towards Apple and Samsung were totally different.
Just so we stay on time, but some really cool videos there, and lots more. I would love to connect with you on LinkedIn and talk about some of the videos that you're finding. But the last few minutes, I just want to talk about how do we keep up with digital trends. There's been some great conversation around how everyone is doing that. These are just a few of the newsletters I subscribe to and some of the things that I've found helpful for the classroom. These ones right here are focused on AI and machine learning and ChatGPT, et cetera. So I thought those were some interesting ones. Most of them have significant subscription lists, and they put out some pretty good content. So I'll leave that up for 2 seconds. And I also join a lot of these webinars and live things. I'm lucky enough that I have a budget at Million Stories where we buy a lot of ads. So I have a call every week with YouTube. I have a call with TikTok bi-weekly. I have a call with Meta. So I'm able to ask questions, bring them to the classroom, sort of much more in real time. But one of the best real-time things I've found is having, an actual expert. How many people really have speakers, industry experts come to class? Yes, looks like a really nice number. Awesome, awesome. So these are examples of the speakers that I've had in the past few years. Most of them all are executive level. Most of them all are friends with me because I used to spend a lot of money with them at Live Nation. But they came and they talked, and it was really fun, and had some really great examples of things that they shared. So, a fun team assignment could be look at the ad formats available on TikTok and create an ad for a product you're passionate about or you're thinking about in this class. Good assignment, right? A great assignment, in my opinion, would be create that ad for the business that you're focused on in this class and then present it to the executive from TikTok, which is what we did with him, and the students were thought it was awesome. They were very nervous, but he gave great feedback, and it went over really well. This was another example. Taylor Swift has been in the news, lots of drama, right? Build a crisis plan for Taylor Swift, social media crisis plan, whatever it may be. For Ticketmaster, I had the former head of corporate communications at Ticketmaster join the class. So a topic she's passionate about and knows a lot about, and the students really got a lot out of that one. And lastly, Reddit's a platform. I have a lot of students who don't really know what Reddit is. So it's learn what Reddit is, check it out, sign up, and then actually build a, ad for this executive from Reddit to do. So I always love in my social media classes to make sure the students, I take surveys, figure out what platforms they're not on, and then make sure those assignments are there to have them get on them and get acquainted with them at least. And just to wrap up, some of the things I've talked about, these are just some general learning tips that have worked well for me. Bite-sized learning videos, gamifying where we can. I like to do head of digital takeover. If you were to take over a brand that you really like, but you don't think is doing great, what would you do and how would you measure it? What would your SMART goals be? They like SMART goals. Think lots of test and learn campaigns. I have a lot of them. I show them how I do A/B testing, in the platforms, so they can really see what are the options today, not in the textbook because they change so often, but what can they really be? But, Stukin does a great job with a lot of these things too. And the last way, we can stay on top of trends is, of course, to attend Stukin, which we are all doing. Learn, prepare, share, and the point of mine was edutain. So I think it's a really good, important piece. I promised my students that I would take a selfie for them from the stage. So I'm going to be that guy, and I'm going to do it real quick, if you want to smile. All right, 3, 2, 1. One more. All right. Now maybe they'll give me a better rating. Thank you all. I really appreciate it. Thanks for the patience.